in biochemistry as well. Then I went to the US to do my PhD. And then when I came back, I started my own research group, started building a lab. And then big ideas came along, and the lab has become a much bigger entity now, involving a lot more people, which is WAGBIP.
Okay, so interesting journey to what you've become. We do not hear so much about other centers of excellence. What is it that you and your team are doing right at WAGBIP?
Oh, there are other centers of excellence. I'm not sure why you haven't heard of. There's another one at the University of Ghana called WACI, West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, which is also a World Bank Center of Excellence. And then there's another one in KNUST, which is focused on water and sanitation. So there are a number of them.
But WAGBIP seems to be popular, and that's why I'm asking, what are you doing right?
Well, it's a number of things. First thing is that we are dominated by young people, which means that there's a lot of energy in WAGBIP. You know, if you come there, you see that 90% of the people there are, you know, below 40 years old. And that comes with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. And that's what we've created. We've created an environment where young people can be excited about science and, enjoy, working with each other and really be proud of the research that they do. So that's why they talk about it. That's why you hear of WAGBIP. It's because the young people are energized and they're out there and they're making the case for science and why science is important for our development.
Okay.
And why they love science. So that's why it's out there.
Okay. And was it important to create an institute which serves West Africa? Why not just Ghana?
Well, two things. First thing is that the World Bank required that it should be a regional, center, because the whole idea is that not one place can provide training for everything. So the one centers that provide specialized training in various areas, so that people from other countries can go there and have that training. So people may be coming from Burkina Faso to learn cell biology and molecular biology from us. People from Ghana may be going to Burkina Faso to learn about mathematics and engineering. So it's, so it's a regional program.
Cross transfer, okay.
Yeah, so, and it's also to sort of increase cooperation among scientists in Africa, because one of the problems we've had is that we haven't often worked together that much. A lot of scientists in Africa rather work with friends in UK, USA, rather than work with each other. So this program has served to sort of help us work together. Number two, if you want to have an impact, you cannot stay within Ghana. So in our program, we are looking at the best scientists in Africa. We don't care where they come from, right? We're based in Ghana, so a lot of our students are Ghanaian because it's convenient for them. But we have some of the best scientists from all over, from Kenya, from Mali, the Gambia, Nigeria, all over the place, working with us because we want the best, and we don't really worry about where they come from. The African is good enough.
Works for you. Okay. You recently had an international conference. Tell us a bit more about it. What was that about?
Yeah. So usually, so for the third year running, we had a research conference, which is basically a platform for our young scientists to, showcase their work and to present the new research findings that we've made at the center. So this year, you had students talking about very significant new developments in research. For example, there was a study that described dengue infections in Ghana for the first time, which many people did not know that we had dengue fever in Ghana. So one of our students found that for the first time. We've actually found children in Accra who had dengue fever and they hadn't traveled, which means that they had been infected locally. So this is something that is important for the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service to
pay attention to. What's dengue fever, by the way?
Oh, dengue fever is a viral infection. The symptoms are very similar to malaria, so it's often confused with malaria.
I see.
So, in fact, these children that we found it in, they showed up in the hospital, and they were suspected to have malaria. Okay, And then we found that one of them had dengue virus as well as malaria. The other one had only dengue virus, actually. So, it's often confused with, other diseases that present with fever. And it's also spread by a mosquito, just like malaria.
I see.
And the mosquito is here, so, it's something that we've suspected for a while, but we've now got confirmation for it. So that's one of the things that we put out there at the conference to make sure that stakeholders are aware. So we invite the ministries, we invite the Ghana Health Service, we invite the media, everybody to come, and then we put the results out there.
Okay.
So that it can be used for public good.
So beyond the conference and the information you shared on the dengue fever, for instance, is there a certain coordinated link between WAC-BIP and the world of health in Ghana, such that these things, when detected, can be filtered through to them?
Yeah. So we work with health institutions. So a lot of the research we do them in hospitals. So this one we did with the Lekma Hospital. So all this information we provided back into the system. So as soon as we found this, we informed the hospital. We wrote to the Minister of Health, Ghana Health Service. Everybody has been informed about this already. And then we have other projects on Broly also that my colleague talked about here the other time, where they are actively in the field looking for people with symptoms so that there can be early detection of the disease, because when you detect it early, you can treat it. Okay. We have another study where a student went to hospitals and sampled the air, just the air in the hospital, and you'd be surprised at the number of drug-resistant pathogens that they found in the air. So these are all things that are very important for our well-being, and the results are being provided to the health authorities, and we hope that appropriate action will be taken.
Okay. All right. So in terms of this conference that you had recently, how important was it to draw international speakers from across the world to Ghana?
Well, so because we're training young people, it's important to make sure that they are exposed to some of the best scientists in the world. What my experience has been is that African scientists have a lot of talent. There's a lot of potential in there. What we need is to create an environment for the potential to be harnessed and to be developed. So what we try to do, in addition to all the things I've already said about the research conference, is that we also bring some of the best scientists from across the world to the conference, so that the young scientists have the opportunity to interact with scientists from Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard, all the top institutions in the world. So that gives them the confidence that they can give a presentation, answer questions from professors from Harvard and from Oxford. And then during the breaks, they talk to them and they interact with them. They talk to them about their projects. They get advice. And, it's really important. It's really an important part of the training that we give them, is to expose them to this type of, high-level expertise.
Okay. It's just some 24 minutes to turn radio on Morningstar. If you're just joining us, we're having a conversation with Professor Gordon Awandare. He's the director of WAC-BIP, arguably my favorite center at the University of Ghana. Joining us this morning for The Horizon. And The Horizon is produced by the Ghana Science Association with Dr. T. Tigo, busy on his laptop this morning, joining us. We will surely bring you our science fun fact, and then we will continue with our conversation. In fact, let's bring that to you right about now, and then we'll continue and find out a bit more about the place of WAC-BIP in helping us to develop as a nation, especially in the world of science.
Researchers with commercial funding from businesses are almost twice as likely to refuse to share information or materials with colleagues compared to those without such funding or funding from alternative sources.
Now, that fun fact links me closely to the matter to do with support for scientists in our country today. And if you're just joining us, we're speaking to Professor Gordon Awandare, Director at WAC-BIP for The Horizon today here on Morning Star. Prof, before we went on the break and brought you our science fun facts, I was thinking a lot more about all the work you're doing and the support you're getting. So a few weeks back, there was an announcement the government was setting up an endowment fund of sorts to support research. What's your own expectations of this, and has there been any updates in that regard?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic idea, and we've been looking forward to that for a long time. This is something in the scientific community we've been talking about for about 20 years, spanning several governments, several political parties, and it has never really seen the light of day. So we are excited about it. Every serious country has it, So Ghana, we need to take our place and put some money that scientists can compete for to do research so that the best ideas are supported. Right now here is in Parliament. I hope that it will move forward. I don't think this is something that needs to delay, because everybody agrees that there's a need for this. We just need to identify how it will be funded, and then we need to move forward with it. We as scientists, we're standing by. If Parliament needs us to testify or whatever to put support for this on the table, we are willing to support however we can. But this is an a very important milestone in the development of the country to have this fund.
I'm just a little curious. You said you've been talking about this for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
What has been the challenge in getting that required support prior to this time that this announcement is coming up?
Well, it's just about political will and commitment, So you have to identify a source of funding for this, and science is expensive, so it has to be significant funding. This is not something that you can put a few million cedis and it will go anywhere. For it to have an impact, it has to be a significant amount of money. So there has been a little bit of reluctance to take the bold step of putting this up because of competing interest for funds. But this president has always promised it, so we are hoping, and we are going to hold them accountable, and we hope that it'll be done.
Okay. Now, away from funding matters and on to the positive, what are some of the greatest research inputs that have come out since work begun for WACBIP?
Input or output?
Did I say input?
Yeah.
Output?
Yeah, so I talked about some already. So in terms of research that produces information for public health benefits, like some of the research I've mentioned about fevers and dengue fever and Brody ulcer and so on and so forth. But the bigger picture is that in 4 years we've given scholarships to 152 African scientists from 10 different countries. So that is a huge investment in people, in human resources. And these 152 people hopefully are going to make an impact over the next several years, because they're going to work in academia, hopefully they're going to work in industry, they're going to work in health delivery, and so on and so forth. And we are hoping that this will continue. We continue to produce the best scientists, and that these people would go out there and make a difference wherever they find themselves. Our industry research component is lagging. We need industry to work with academia to make sure that we are making the best use of our scientists to innovate and to provide local solutions to our problems. So I think the next phase of what we're doing now is to engage industry, and we hope that industry would be serious and work with research institutions to make sure that this talent that we are putting out there does not only stay in academia, but it's actually put to use in industry to innovate and to produce new products that can help in health delivery and water quality and so on and so forth.
So for all that you've done so far, what's been the response you've gotten from the international community?
Oh, it's been massive. You mentioned earlier on about the fact that you've heard a lot about WACBIP.
Yeah.
One of the things that has really sort of, let's say, amplified what we started, is that we've had a very positive response from the international community. So we got this initial funding from the World Bank, and then once we got going, we sought funding from other places, and we've now attracted almost double the amount that the World Bank started off.
Which was how much?
So the World Bank offered 8 million, and we've raised another more than 8 million from other sources. So
dollars or cedis?
Millions of cedis, of dollars, sorry.
Of dollars. So this was $8 million given to you by the World Bank?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've raised an additional, $8 or more million from other places. And that's because people believe in what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I travel all over the world, I talk about what we're doing, and people get excited, and people want to get involved, people want to support what we're doing. And that just shows the potential that we have as Africans, that if we can get organized and be effective and deliver results that people can see, I think we have a very good chance of making the big leap that we've been waiting for. So I think, to get back to your question, the international community has really embraced what we're doing, and you can see that by the amount of funding we've been able to attract from other places since we started.
And what's been the underlying factor allowing you to put out research considered world class?
So it's the environment. So one of the things we did first of all with the funding we got was to put together an environment that supports world-class research. So if you come there, our labs are similar to any you would find in any advanced research institution. So we brought the labs to that level of the world-class level. And then we've attracted the best scientists, both faculty and students. These are some of the best that Africa can offer. We've attracted them to come and work here. And that combination of a world-class environment with some of the smartest guys, that's the combination you need for impact. And I think we're on the way to really doing big things for Ghana and for Africa.
So how can other research institutes emulate the sort of work and standards that you and your team are setting now?
So I think a lot of it is work ethic. What we've tried to instill is, a work ethic of seriousness, high intensity, competitiveness, trying to be the best. So all these scientists, all these young guys, they are working together, but they know that it's a competitive environment. Everybody wants to be the best. Nobody wants to do research that cannot be presented anywhere in the world. So those are the key, values that we impact on ourselves and on the young people that we train. Is that we need excellence, we need high intensity, and we need competitiveness. We need to be aggressive generally, because I always say that Ghana, we are very patient people, right? And patience is good for some things, but when it comes to developing and making progress, we cannot be patient. We are already behind. So what are we waiting for? So we preach a culture of impatience in terms of getting things done as soon as possible and not waiting for the next day. Okay, so that's the work ethic that we impose on ourselves and on the people, that there's no need to wait for tomorrow. What can be done now should be done now, because if you do that now, tomorrow you'll be doing something else, which takes you to another level. So these are the values that we instill. So I think that the message that WAGB has is that if you want to make an impact or be successful, you need these values of high intensity, competitiveness, impatience, all right, and then you have to be effective overall.
All right, so in the next 10 years, in the next decade, how do you see WAGB contributing towards everyday conversations in Ghana?
Yeah, so we hope that in the next 10 years, we will have WAGB products you know, in every sphere of our lives, in industry, in academia, in government, in you know, agriculture, whatever, applying the skills that they've acquired in WAGBIB, being leaders. Okay, one of the things that we train people for is to be leaders, to take leadership. So we want them to be leaders all over the place, all over the continent. You know, also training people, helping build their local environments wherever they find themselves, producing innovative ideas and innovative products, and generally sort of amplifying what WAGBIB is trying to do. So we are training an army of people who would go and basically do what they've learned to do, and in that way you amplify the impact. So that's what we're doing. We have a lot of faith in the young African scientists. Everywhere I've gone, I see Africans there. In the right environment, they excel. Okay, we have top scientists all over the world who are of African descent, and if we provide the environment for the young ones here, they can do the same thing right here, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we can do this right here. And in fact, some of the African scientists who train in the diaspora have been inspired by what we're doing, and a lot of them want to come back. So we've been able to bring at least 4 scientists who were outside, and they've come back to join the effort.
Who hitherto had no plans of coming home?
Well, some wanted to come, they didn't have the opportunity, they didn't find the right opportunity to come home. So we gave them the right environment that they felt confident that when they came, they'll be able to continue to do high-level science, and they'll be able to feed their families. 2 important things that every human being needs. So that's what we provided, and we have a very huge response. 4 have already come. A few others are lined up, waiting for the right opportunity to come, and that is because of the environment we've created, the energy, the spirit of what we're trying to do, and we see this really growing and becoming a big deal.
Okay, if you're just joining us, 10 minutes to 10 Radio Morning Star, you've missed a lot, but we're speaking to Professor Gordon Awandare, the director at WAGBIB, telling us about what they have been doing for the past 4.5 years as a center of excellence here with us here on the Horizon on Morning Star. Prof, to the young students out there, maybe the ones listening to us in Kofredia, in Takrade, in Ho, in very remote areas, or even here in the capital Accra, who are interested in science but don't want to go into the route of becoming doctor, nurse, engineer, what do you say to them?
Well, I say that science is fascinating, so you should follow your interest and do what you enjoy doing. Take advantage of what is in front of you and excel at it, and then it'll open doors for the next step. Often people get discouraged that they didn't get the course they wanted or the program they wanted.
I think your life is a testimony, isn't it?
Exactly. So you just need to embrace what is in front of you and do it to the best of your ability. If you try to be the best in what you do, opportunities will open for you to do the next thing and take it to the next level. And then eventually you'll get to do what you really love to do. But you have to demonstrate that you are good by doing what is in front of you, doing it well. If you don't do what you're doing well, nobody's going to have the confidence that if they give you any assignment, you'll be able to do it well. So if you are in a secondary school in some village in Volta region or in Upper East or Upper West, yes, you are disadvantaged because you are not in Presec or Achimota or whatever. But excel as much as possible wherever you are, and you will be noticed. Every time we have students coming from, remote areas, but when they come to the University of Ghana, they blossom because the talent is there, the ability is there, They just didn't have the support. So maybe they didn't have the best SSC results, but they get into the university and they're top of the class because now they've been given the opportunity to to develop what talent they have. So the message really is excel in what is in front of you, and then the opportunities will open.
Beautiful. I have one small question to ask you, and it's a little unrelated. As a country, have we placed the value of science at the center of our problem solving, or it's been religion?
Simple answer is no, we haven't. And that's, I believe, one of the reasons why we've been slow to develop. We have not prioritized science. I hope that this is changing. I hope that with this African Centers of Excellence, which the government signed up for, which means that there's some commitment to doing this, because it was something that African governments had to sign up for, that they wanted to put resources towards supporting science. So they signed up for that, and indeed they've signed up for the next phase of it, and they've committed to support the next round of funding, which means that we can apply for renewal as well. So we hope that that's a beginning of a change in mindset. But I would say that we are far behind. Right now, when you turn around, you see Rwanda. They've really embraced science, and they are taking off. You can see how fast they've moved. If you compare Rwanda to Ghana right now, you see how fast they've moved because they embrace science. They have a president who has embraced science and he's leading by himself and promoting science and research, and it's showing results. So I think that whilst we will talk about roads and schools and all that, it's important that we also think about science, because if you invest in science, it will pay off in the long run. It's like the example of the exploration for oil. When we were growing up, there was always GMPs. Every year they had a huge budget, spending millions and millions of dollars exploring for oil, right? And there was no oil. They didn't find any oil, but we kept putting millions and millions of dollars in every year. Eventually, we found the oil, right?
Yes.
Science is like that. You know that the oil is there. You just have to find it. So science is like that. It can unleash a lot of innovation, and we just need to invest and keep, stay the course and keep investing, and eventually it's going to pay off. Everywhere they've invested in science has paid off. Just everywhere.
Is that not also because we are a little short-sighted in our planning?
It is.
And so investing in science doesn't look like a worthy investment in the short term.
It is the case. That's why, I always say that the politicians, science is not attractive to them because it will not produce results within 4 years that they can use to campaign for re-election. So it's not attractive to them. If you build a road, it's there for everybody to see. If you build a school, everybody is there for everybody to see. If you build an airport, it's there for everybody to see, right? If you dig boreholes, these are all important things. But we're saying that whilst investing for the immediate benefit, let's think about the long term. Let's put some money into long-term, investment. Let's give young people some money to do research, to develop innovative ideas. And we would all be surprised that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you see a lot of inventions coming out of Ghana. You see a vaccine being developed in Ghana. You see, new drugs being developed in Ghana, and so on and so forth. So I think that we have to do as you said, which is take the long-term view. And we hope that our government, right now we have a new government, so let's hope that they will continue what the other governments have done and even take it further in terms of committing resources to research. In addition to the resources, research can be supported in a whole lot of other ways. Yeah, which is just to facilitate the work of scientists. One of the frustrations we face a lot is getting reagents and equipment to do work.
Yeah, Dr. Penko told me about this 2 months ago.
Yes, I cannot tell you how difficult it is and how long it takes to buy, scientific equipment, to go through procurement and all the hustle of, shipping, clearing at the ports. It is, it's outrageous how long we spend in order to get the tools we need to work.
To be able to work effectively.
Because we are competing with people who order reagents and the next day they have it. When I was in the US, if I needed something, I go on the internet and I order it. The next morning, you come to work, it's waiting for you at the door. And you take it and you do whatever you want. Here, it takes 6 months to 1 year to get stuff. How do you compete?
And that's how it will work.
Exactly.
Anyway, I want to say a big thank you to you for joining us this morning. Professor Gordon Awandare, the director at WAC BIP at the University of Ghana. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you.
And that'll be how we end Morning Star for today. Unfortunately, I'm out of time. Mr. Kasa. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us by ear, voice, and text. For those who called us today on the show, remember your copies of the Agro Magazine will be at the front desk. Come by with identification and pick your copy up. The July edition is out beautiful. But I can't leave without our motivator. It's brought to you in association with Star Life Assurance. It's quite simple, really. A bird's wings makes it safe. But let us know what its wings are made for. It has to fly. Let us use our hands to work to greater heights. Great. Thanks for your company. I'm back tomorrow morning, 5:55 for another edition of Morning Star. Another exciting, educative, fun-filled morning show made just for you. I tell you, we will bring our news update after which the zone will be live and airborne right here on Star 103.5 FM. Have a great day, people. See you tomorrow morning. I am out of here.
The true definition of contemporary radio. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the news update at 10 here on Star 103.5 FM. I am Eric Mawina Ebeta. Let's settle for the details now. And the minority in Parliament has planned to petition the International Monetary Fund on government's decision to exchange Ghana's bauxite for $2 billion worth investment. James Krucha Veji is Deputy Minority Leader.
We abstain from that, but we will take an action. We will inform the IMF that what has been approved in Parliament is qualified completely as a loan. IMF, under the ECF facility that we are already enjoying, should call the attention of government that, hey, you cannot hide behind barter trade and say that this is not a loan. Because public revenue, public fund, consolidated fund will be used to service the loan.
You had Deputy Minority Leader James Kluche, a virginal lawyer for the citizen whose suit for an injunction on the appointment of a new EC boss was dismissed, is cautioning the president not to approve Jean Mensah despite the dismissal of the suit. According to the Deputy Attorney General Godfred Dame, the president will soon make Jean Mensah and the 3 other appointments official following the ruling of the court. But according to Chris Akume, the president is treading on dangerous grounds.
If I'm the President of the Republic of Ghana and being a lawyer in the present circumstances, I will not make any appointment. I can put somebody there as a caretaker chairperson, but not a substantive, because the warning from the court is there. The court is saying that, yes, you made submission that there's a matter pending. The president should not do this. He's in the process of doing this. Let him conclude what he's doing. There's a remedy.
You had lawyer for private citizen whose injunction suit on the appointment of a new EC chair was thrown out, Chris Akume. Now, police in the Western region are making a case for stiffer punishment for persons who engage in stowaway activities. The call comes after 6 people were arrested for attempting to stow away and 9 others arrested for aiding the stowaways. Director of Marine Railways and Ports at the Ghana Police Service, ACP Seidu Lansa Idi, has been speaking to Star News.
When vessels come here after conveying whatever they came for and they are leaving and they discover stowaways, by laws of the sea, they are supposed to bring them back, and it costs a lot. It will discourage shippers or shipping lines from patronizing the port of Tema. If that is the case, revenues for people working in the port, as well as the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and for that matter the government, will fall. Because if shipping lines do not come to our port to transact businesses, it means that our source of generating revenue will be affected.
You had Director of Marine Railways and Ports at the Ghana Police Service, ACP Seidu Lansa Idi. Now, family of the man killed during the disturbances at Baltan in the Sola district in the northern region are demanding justice. The man was killed in a gun battle between the police and residents who had accused the police of shielding some suspected robbers. Now, Deputy Roads and Highways Minister Anthony Cabo says appointees of the president are not worried about speculations of an impending ministerial reshuffle. He spoke at a news conference.
No politician who has been appointed to serve his country is beyond that. It is up to the president to deploy and redeploy members of his party. And so redeployment is not an issue government appointees are particularly worried about, because the government is so huge and we have so much talent in this our party that everybody wants to serve.
You are Deputy Roads and Highways Minister Anthony Cabo. That's it for the news update at 10. There's more news on StarFMOnline.com. I am Eric Mawina Ebeta.
If you can't catch us on air, connect with us online. Go to www.starfmonline.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Star1035FM. Like us on Facebook, Star1035FM.
Introducing Lily Sunflower Oil, enriched with vitamin A and available in convenient sizes. Go to the nearest supermarket or neighborhood shop today to buy your 5, 2.9, 1.